watching sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things.
Tools don't matter in the bullet journal practice. What notebook or writing instrument we use has so little to do with the true purpose of this method. The more important thing to focus on is why we want to practice it and how can we make this practice serve our needs. With that being said, proper tools can streamline our thought process or improve documentation and make the practice more effortless. And let's be honest here, cool tools and cute supplies can be more encouraging and inviting too. So, in this video, I want to share the supplies that added value to my bullet journal practice. I have been using this pretty generic A5 sized black notebook with hardcover and dotted grid pages, but I decided to switch to a notebook called Dingbats. Dingbats notebooks are biodegradable, 100% vegan, and recyclable. And I want to support products like theirs that are eco-conscious and responsibly sourced. So if you are, like me, looking for a more environmentally friendly alternative, I highly recommend their notebooks. Before I started bullet journaling, I've only used college-ruled notebooks instead of dotted grid pages. So I was a little bit skeptical at first in the beginning, but since then I've come to really appreciate its flexibility. It also makes my very messy handwriting clean because the beginning of the sentences are always aligned thanks to the dots. For pen, I use a Safari, an excellent writing instrument from a German manufacturer called Lamy. Safari comes in 3 different types of tips: fountain, ballpoint, and rollerball, and mine is a rollerball. The only complaint that I have about this pen is that their ink doesn't dry quick enough for me, so my notes kept getting smeared, so I switched to the Zebra Mark-On refill. This ink is specifically designed to be used with highlighters, so even if I use a water-based marker right after I take notes with this refill, the ink will remain clean and crisp with no bleeding, unlike other gel ink refills. For this to work though, I actually had to do a little bit of tweaking around because the casing of that Zebra refill is a little shorter than the original one. So what I do is I simply jam a piece of plastic to give it a little boost in length. It's a little ghetto, but it works famously. And I use this mini binder clip to clip my index page to the cover of the notebook so I'll have instant access to that page. For other frequently viewed pages, I use these index tabs from Midori. They're small enough to be concealed inside the cover, but they are made out of brass so they won't give in and get all floppy, unlike paper tabs. And for this ruler, it was actually I love at first sight. I love its look and the weight and everything about it. But I recently realized that I prefer to see what's underneath the ruler when I am drawing lines. So I have switched to a clear ruler since. For highlighting purposes, I use a Tombow Brush Pen. I tried 2 different shades of gray to find which one I like, and I settled for the lighter one because I wanted it to be as low profile as possible. And I have used a mild liner, very popular highlighter, but it was too dark and the tip was too firm for my liking, so Tombow Brush Pen it is. And these really stylish sticky notes I purchased from a Seattle-based stationery store, Mochi Things. It gives me a lot of joy to support small businesses, and it makes me happy to finally have the opportunity to talk about the product they carry. And these sticky notes are not just for the look, and I have a very practical use for them. I created a reflection prompts list in order to make the process as smooth as possible. I'd often had instances when I felt like I didn't really know what to write about during reflections, so this list gives me a gentle nudge to keep my thoughts going. The last item I'm gonna talk about is this Dymo label maker. I use this to create label for each notebook with a volume number and the months of which the notebook was used for. The reason why I picked this particular model is because I love the old school typewriter vibes this little guy sends off. And this is everything I use when I bullet journal. And just like any tool, what works for you and what you need is different from what works for me and what I need. So I hope you enjoy the experimentation of finding the right tools for you. And if I may add one unsolicited advice, it's really easy to get carried away, especially if you're browsing what supplies other people are using for journaling on the internet. So be very attentive to your needs when adding additional tools. And if you ever find yourself going down the rabbit hole, ask yourself, will this tool remove the friction in my practice? Will this add value to my journaling ritual? Alright, that's it. Happy journaling, and I'll see you in the next video.